Binance commits to $500 million to co-invest in Twitter with Elon Musk. Binance, a major crypto exchange, participated in Elon Musk's $44 billion acquisition of Twitter, as reported in documents filed with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. On May 5th, Musk filed an amended general statement of the acquisition, announcing that Twitter received an aggregate of about $7.2 billion in new financing commitments in connection with the merger agreement. The conditions in co-investor equity commitment letters will need to be met for the financing to go through. Binance is one of the 18 co-investors in the acquisition of the payment processing company, which is said to be a major move in the crypto industry. The other co-investors include well-known names like Sequoia Capital Fund and Fidelity Management and Research Group. So there's a lot of co-investors heading into this acquisition. Having invested $500 million, Binance is the fourth biggest contributor, following the Lawrence J. Ellison Revocable Trust, which invested $1 billion. Sequoia Capital and Vi Capital donated $800 million and $700 million each, respectively. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao took to Twitter shortly after the filing became public, describing the company's investment as a small contribution to the cause. You can see that here on Twitter. Investors have agreed to contribute to the acquisition prior to its closing. The document explains equity investors have retained an option to satisfy such equity investors' equity commitment with shares of common stock held by such equity investor, valued at $54.20 per share, the document reads. Billionaire CEO and founder of Tesla, Musk officially announced the acquisition of Twitter on April 25th. The $44 billion worth transaction is expected to close in 2022, subject to the approval of Twitter stockholders as well as regulators. He previously said that one of his top priorities for Twitter would be to remove spam and scam bots and the bot armies, including those related to crypto. Sounds like a good thing. Cointelegraph previously reported that Musk was pushing Binance to address some issues on its platform last year. This led to a small Twitter battle between Musk and the Binance CEO. Musk specifically brought up a problem and related to some Dogecoin withdrawals that were stuck on Binance. He asked Zhao to explain the issue, which has been fixed already. We'll see if there's any issues with that. Binance and Musk both getting in on Twitter, but I'm sure we'll hear more as the acquisition comes to fruition there. And next here, Senator Elizabeth Warren worried about Fidelity's Bitcoin 401k plan. I know we talked a bit on this yesterday. Let's see what she has to say. In a letter to Abigail Johnson, CEO of Fidelity Investments, Senators Warren and Smith questioned the appropriateness of the company's plan to allow people to invest a portion of their 401ks in riskier assets like Bitcoin. We hope your company reconsiders this decision. The letter discusses the volatility of Bitcoin and how Fidelity would handle other risks such as fraud, theft, and loss. The senators question how Fidelity plans to deal with these dangers. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing to ask, like, how are you going to deal with this? But at the same time, like, again, it is up to whoever, it should be up to, I should say, whoever is doing the investing, right? If you want to put your 401k in Bitcoin, put it in Bitcoin. It's like you're assuming that risk. The company has come under fire from politicians for its involvement in Bitcoin. They argue that Fidelity has potential conflicts of interest, which could have influenced the decision to offer a Bitcoin fund. The letter notes that the asset manager has been involved in Bitcoin and Ethereum mining in the past and has also launched a Bitcoin index fund for qualified investors with a minimum investment limit of $100,000. Meanwhile, the senator's investigation follows similar concerns expressed by the Department of Labor. According to the acting assistant secretary of the Employee Benefits Security Administration, Ali Kawar, crypto is a speculative asset with a lot of hype and FOMO, or fear of missing out. Kawar also noted the volatility of the cryptocurrencies, saying it needs to mature before people are allowed to put their retirement savings in an asset class. Again, there's people that have invested in crypto and they know what they're doing. You know, I don't think someone would just pick to invest in Bitcoin if they didn't have any idea about it. I mean, some people might, but again, like, sign something. I'm assuming risk for what happens here, right? Don't you do that with 401ks anyway? Senators Warren and Smith asked Fidelity why it disregarded DOL's concerns in March. Other questions raised by politicians include fees charged by clients as a result of their Bitcoin investments, how much the asset manager has earned since launching crypto mining operations in 2017, and how Fidelity has addressed conflicts of interest. The company is expected to respond to questions in the letter by May 18th, 2022. So I'm sure that we will hear more to that once they respond via letter, what their comeback is from that. And up next here, someone is blowing up. Bitcoin sees 2022 volume record amid capitalization is over. Capitulation is over. Bitcoin prices hit 10-week lows during the Wall Street trading session on May 5th before bouncing back to levels last seen in February. The downturn in both crypto and stocks, which followed an initial bounce the day prior on the back of expected rate hikes by the Federal Reserve, appeared to be more than traders bargained for. Today, the S&P 500 finished 3.5% lower, while the NASDAQ 100 ended 5% lower. Outside stocks, U.S. 10-year Treasury futures shrank 1%, a rare combination which gave some market participants pause for thought. Jason Gopfert, founder of Sundial Capital Research, has observed that this is only the second time in the past 25 years that such an event has occurred. The first instance was during the 2008 global financial crisis, and the most recent occurrence was during the 2020 COVID crash. The Bitcoin capitulation event could have been caused by changing U.S. economic conditions, which we know there have been a lot of lately. Here is his tweet out, Jason Gopfert here. Van de Poppe commented that it smells like capitulation to him, or at least some serious signals overall. He noted that the dip had also produced the highest volume 4-hour candle since early December on BTC USD. Volume was a key aspect which needed to return in order to produce a more convincing capitulation event, as Cointelegraph reported. Here is the Bitcoin US dollar 1 hour time frame chart on trading from Bitstamp on TradingView there. Cryptocurrencies experienced relatively low liquidations on the whole over the past day, with BTC accounting for $190 million. This was the highest daily total for several months, but it did not match January's cascade to $32,000. Here we can see the crypto liquidations chart from CoinGlass. According to CoinGlass, a resource that monitors on-chain activity, the majority of the $200 million volume came from altcoin pairs. So just something to note if you are currently trading Bitcoin. And up next here, federal election donations in the US can now be made in crypto. That is pretty exciting. Elections are a circus, especially in the United States. Anyone would want a DAO to take over and make all our decisions for us by voting quietly and calmly. But we still have a few crude elections ahead of us before that fantasy plays out. Crypto enthusiasts can now donate to a campaign using cryptocurrency. I'm sure that it probably, obviously, that specific campaign or that candidate would have to accept it. From my, understanding, we'll see here what they have to say. CrowdPack said it is the first major federal election donation platform to accept donations in crypto. The company said it would simplify the donation process and ensure that campaign using its services comply with Federal Election Commission regulations. Christopher Talvlarides from CrowdPack said that their donors understand the power of technology and want to use it to support politicians and the issues that matter to them. Cryptocurrencies are a way to break free from big partisan processors who favor the status quo. They are excited to accept crypto and help their members innovate. That is pretty cool. How many of you guys do you think would try that out? If you donate to campaigns, would you try this out to donate in crypto? CrowdPack says that when a crypto donation is made, the donation is immediately liquidated and the funds are transferred to the campaign via direct deposit or check. This ensures that campaigns receive and can use the donation immediately. CrowdPack claims to have 4 million users and 360,000 donors. 65% of those users and donors are women and minorities. That's pretty cool, because crypto, big finance, things like this typically are not infiltrated in the minority space right away, but that's pretty cool. Tavlerides said they are making it easier for grassroots candidates traditionally excluded from the political process to compete and win. More Americans than ever, at least 1 in 5, are now using cryptocurrency. We want them to know that they can and should use cryptography to amplify their voice. CrowdPack is a startup that was launched in 2014. To date, it has raised over $32 million in pledges and contributions from donors. The average donation amount is $53.37. So that's pretty cool. Even if you can't donate a whole ton, $50 at least, that is true. You know, it helps the average person donate to what otherwise would just be run by, you know, big business people with a ton of money. Meanwhile, a Japanese startup has just received a development grant to build a blockchain-based electronic voting system. This system will include user ID, making the voting process much more efficient. I think that is probably a long time coming for the US just because of voter fraud and all of that, but we'll see. I think that's a cool start in the right direction. Up next here, Argentina's central bank steps in to block new crypto offerings from banks. Argentina's central bank has put a stop to banks from dealing in digital assets just days after 2 of the country's largest institutions signaled they were getting into cryptocurrencies. The BCRA, Banco Central de la República Argentina, announced that it would be taking measures to mitigate the risks associated with crypto. These risks include crypto's high volatility, its use in money laundering, and the lack of regulatory safeguards. This past Monday, Banco Galicia and Brubank announced that their customers would be able to purchase Bitcoin, Ethereum, USD Coin, and Ripple from their banks. It's always sad, you know, I feel like we're coming so far, making good strides in some countries, and then you hear, oh, it's being blocked in another country. Just always interesting to see why, you know, some are infiltrating it, some aren't. Banco Galicia decided to open crypto trading after polling their customers and finding that 60% of them wanted easier access to digital currencies. The central bank has always been against crypto, issuing an alert to the public in May last year on the risks. They have expressed concerns around volatility and money laundering, even though there are not yet significant signs of acceptance and use. According to Statista, 21% of Argentinian respondents had owned or used crypto in 2021. This makes Argentina the 6th highest adopter of crypto in the world and the highest in the Americas. So it's surprising that they're, you know, trying to block it. Argentina's inflation has been on the rise for a while now, with the latest numbers showing a 6.7% increase in March. This brings the year-over-year rate up to 55.1%. People have started to turn to crypto in order to try and offset the impact of inflation. In one rural town, people have even started mining cryptocurrency as a way to fight inflation. Pretty interesting. Argentina's stance on cryptocurrencies may have changed recently due to a $44 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. One clause of this loan requires Argentina to discourage the use of cryptocurrencies. It's sad, you know. So much money going around. I think digital assets are, you know, the next big thing, right? It helps so many people get access to something they wouldn't necessarily otherwise have access to. And, you know, it's sad that it's being discouraged. Central bank's announcement is in conflict with Buenos Aires mayor's plans. In late April, the mayor announced that the city would be digitized, with citizens able to pay their taxes in cryptocurrencies and other blockchain plans. So much conflicting back and forth. We will see where that goes. Last but not least here, court orders Bitmex founders to pay $30 million civil penalty. The U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York has ordered a total of $30 million in civil monetary penalties from the 3 co-founders of Bitmex crypto derivatives exchange, including former CEO Arthur Hayes. According to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, Hayes, Benjamin Delo, and Samuel Reed were each fined $10 million in consent payments on May 5th. The CFTC said that the 3 men violated aspects of the Commodity Exchange Act and CFTC regulations from November 2014 to October of 2020. Today, the CFTC filed a suit against the exchange and its 3 co-founders. The commission states that the defendants were accused of operating the Bitmex platform while conducting significant aspects of Bitmex's business from the U.S. and unlawfully accepting orders and funds from U.S. customers to trade cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin derivatives. Everywhere we turn, someone's getting fined, someone's getting sued, something is happening here. In the crypto space, there is never a dull moment for sure. The CFTC announced that the defendant had violated multiple laws, including trading swaps without proper approval and operating as a futures commission merchant without proper registration. The defendants were also said to have failed to implement adequate safety measures, such as customer identification procedures and anti-money laundering programs. CFTC Commissioner Caroline D. Pham said in a separate statement that her commission is committed to pursuing wrongdoers who have an unfair advantage that operate in violation of the law, which I guess they found Bitmex to be. According to Cointelegraph, Hayes and Delo pleaded guilty to violating the Bank Secrecy Act in a separate case filed by the Department of Justice. In the plea, they admitted to willfully failing to establish, implement, and maintain an anti-money laundering program. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you know, at this point, it seems like they knew the regulation and they just didn't follow them. But I feel like there's so many, you know, gray areas with crypto that it's hard to, you know if what you're doing is with the regulation or not. There could not even be a regulation for it. So Bloomberg reported that Hayes' mother was concerned about how the federal judge presiding over the DOJ's case would sentence her son. The defense offered a letter from her asking for a lenient sentence, and his lawyers requested a sentence of probation without house arrest or community confinement. Last August, it was reported that Bitmex agreed to pay $100 million in order to resolve a case where the CFTC and FinCEN said exchange operators HDR Global Trading Limited, 100X Holding Limited, ABS Global Trading Limited, Shine Effort Inc. Limited, and HDR Global Services Limited illegally operated the exchange. So that's what's going on here with Bitmex. That is all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment on what you want to see in a future video, and we'll see you next time.